Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to set up some Gruntling enemies, so let's get started. These are just going to be like low-level mobs, so let's go to Content, Combat System, Blueprints, AI, and let's create a new folder. We'll call this one Gruntling enemy. And now we need to duplicate the mob enemy, so let's select Control D, and we'll rename this one to Gruntling enemy. Let's move this into the Gruntling enemy folder. Okay, now let's duplicate the mob enemy behavior tree. Control D, UT underscore Gruntling enemy. And put that into Gruntling enemy. And let's create a new folder and we'll call this one mesh. Let's go to Infinity Blade adversaries, enemy. Let's use the enemy Gruntling Guardian. Let's copy the skeleton and the skeletal mesh. Move that in here to mesh. Okay. Now if we want, we can also move the textures and materials in here. Mesh. Okay, now let's pick the animations that we are going to use. We're going to need some sort of idle animation if we have one. Let's see if there's an idle animation in here. Okay, so there is no idle animation. So since there isn't one, I'll just put one in the course files. And I don't believe there's a regular attack either. Yeah, there's no attack. So I'll also include an attack animation for this character in the course files. So you should find the Gruntling attack and the Gruntling idle animations in the course files. Go ahead and create a new folder and we'll call this one animations. So I included an idle animation and an attack animation for the Gruntling enemy in the course files. So go ahead and check the course files and make sure that you import them into this folder. I'm going to go ahead and import them both. So select both of them and import. And the skeleton is going to be the Guardian Gruntling, import all. Okay, save all. And now we have the idle animation and we have the attack, and they both work. So now I'm going to create a new folder, and this one's going to be attacks. I'm going to put the attack animation in there, and now I'm going to create another new folder, and this one's going to be locomotion. I'm going to put the idle in the locomotion folder. Okay, so now let's add some more walking animations in our locomotion folder. So let's go to the enemy Gruntling Guardian folder and let's search for walk. And we don't need walk backwards, left or right. We just need walk and walk slow. I'll select both of them and move them here. Okay, and now we need run. Here's Gruntling run. We may make this grunt run. So we're gonna move that here. Okay, that should be all the locomotion animations that we need. So now we can go under animation. Let's create a blend space 1D. Make that for the Guardian Gruntling. Gruntling blend space underscore 1D. Okay, and this one is going to be speed from 0 to 500. Okay, so the idle is going to go at the beginning here. And about right here, we can add walk slow. About here at 300, we can add the normal walk. Okay, and here we can add Gruntling run at the main end. As you can see, the enemy is sort of teleporting backwards and walking forward. We actually don't want that to happen in the game. That would basically make it to where the character mesh runs away from the capsule component, which I can show you a bit later. Okay, so now let's create the animation blueprint. So let's go to animation and let's create an animation blueprint. Choose the Guardian Gruntling and create Gruntling underscore NMBP and blueprint. Okay, let's go to the event graph. And here let's add the event blueprint initialize animation. This is just executed when the animation is initialized. Get owning actor. And let's cast to character. And let's promote this to a variable. We'll just call this one Gruntling character. Get Gruntling character, and let's get character movement. And promote that to a variable. Just leave that as character movement. Okay, now we can delete this. Let's get the Gruntling character. Let's convert to validated get. Okay, and now we need to get the character movement. Get velocity. This will be the current velocity from the movement component. And we need to, from here, get the vector length. And this would just get us the character speed, so we can promote that to a variable. Call this ground speed. Okay, compile and save. Let's go to the anim graph. Let's add a state machine. Idle run state machine. Now let's create a new state. Idle run. Okay, let's go to locomotion and let's get the blend space and drag it into here. And now we need to get speed. Okay. And we also are going to need a montage slot, so let's go ahead and add one. That way we can play animation montages. Compile and save. There we go. Now let's open up the Gruntling enemy. And here, so the skeletal mesh is Manny. Let's change that out for Guardian Gruntling. And for the animation blueprint, let's get the Gruntling and a blueprint. There we go. Okay, so now, as you may have noticed, this capsule component is a bit too tall. So make the collision be a little bit weird for this character. Let's go ahead and adjust that. Make it a little bit shorter. 790, let's try something like maybe 70. And we can move the character mesh up a little bit. Move it down to about here would probably be good. And we can just try that and see if that will work. We need weapon 5. This is the Gruntling weapon 5. And now let's open up the Gruntling mesh. Let's create a socket for the weapon. So let's go to the hand R. There is already a weapon R, but I think we should create our own so that way we can move the weapon around. Weapon socket. Okay. Let's search for preview animation, the idle. So that way we can adjust the weapon to look good in the character's hand. Search for the weapon 5, the Gruntling weapon. Now let's go ahead and adjust it into the Gruntling's hand. Okay, there we go. That looks pretty good. And now what we need to do is go back to the Gruntling enemy. Let's select the weapon mesh. And for the parent socket, let's select the weapon socket. And there we go. Compile and save. For the weapon, we also need to add the collision socket names. So let's open up the weapon mesh. So that way we can make sure that the character can apply damage. Let's add a socket, and we need to make sure we get the correct names. So let's select the main weapon mesh component. We need weapon start. So this one will be weapon start. We can move this up about here should be fine. And we need weapon end. And weapon in should be, can move it about here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, and now another thing that we need to do is here in class defaults, let's set our Gruntling enemy, compile and save. So I went ahead and added a nav mesh to mine, and my nav mesh looks something like this. So that way every area that I have here is available to the nav mesh. So go ahead and add yours as well. And now I'm going to add the Gruntling enemy to the map just to see what happens. Turn the Gruntling around. Okay, I can target the Gruntling, so I need to adjust the targeting area. Okay, I think the Gruntling is a bit too small, so let's scale the Gruntling up. I don't want the Gruntling to be too small. Okay, and now we also need to adjust the, okay, since we scaled the model up, we need to adjust the capsule component. For the capsule half height, I want to try 90. And for the capsule radius, I'm going to try 50. And for the position of the character mesh, I'm going to set that to -80. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to try that out. Okay, that's a lot better. But I need to lower the targeting dot. So here's the targeting widget. Just going to lower that to about here. And see how that looks. Okay, that's a lot better. It doesn't react to hits right now. Okay, so let's see if we can go to class defaults and find the hit reaction animations. Okay, so let's go ahead and change this out. Let's get some hit reaction animations for this character. Create a new folder. Hit reactions. React. So here's React heavy front. React knockback. Don't really need that. React light front. Okay. Front alt. Okay, so let's just get React light front. And move that here. We also might use React front alt. We might use React heavy front as well. So we can just move all of those here. Okay, so let's create an animation montage for React light front. And here at the end, let's add our reset notify. Let's reset combat. Okay. For Gruntling enemy, let's just add that to all of them. We actually don't have a React back for the Gruntling enemy, so we'll just use front. Let's see if that works. Okay, that does work. But it looks like the root motion isn't working correctly. Let's try to adjust that. Let's see if root motion is enabled. It is not. Let's see how that looks. Whoa, that looks strange. The issue may be due to blending. So let's go to the animation montage here for the hit reaction, and let's set the blend in time to 0. Let's see if that fixes the issue. Okay, that has fixed the issue. And now it would probably be a good idea to make the character die as well. Do we have a death animation? I don't believe we do. Okay, where is the death event? Perform death, here we go. So let's go to the parent version, and it looks like by default on perform death we enable random. But we actually don't want to do that for this character, so let's just... actually, a good idea would be to... Let's create a death animation. So let's create a montage variable. Make it of type montage. We'll call this one... And we'll call this one death animation. And we'll put this one in the category montages death, make that instance editable. And now what we'll do is the death animation valid? If it is valid, then we play montage. Then we play montage. Play in a montage. Copy that and add that here. But if it is not valid, then we can just tell the character to go ahead and ragdoll. Okay, compile and save. Now let's go back to our Gruntling enemy, and we can go to class defaults, and here we can add a death animation. So, let's see. Let's see if the Gruntling has a death animation. So yes, the Gruntling does have a death animation. Death small. Actually, we could, instead of a single animation, let's make this into an array so we can use a variety of animations. Compile and save, and then we can random array item. Okay. And for this, we can just check is empty, is not empty. And so if the array is not empty, then we can play a death montage. Otherwise, it does ragdoll. Now, let's decide which animations we're going to use. The ones I'm going to use, you can choose whichever ones you want to use based on what you like. But I'm going to use this one, and this one. So let's create a new folder. We'll call this one death. And now let's go ahead and move the animations over into our death folder. Okay, save all. Now let's create animation montages for all of them. Okay, now let's add all of them to the array here in the Gruntling enemy. Okay, and for all three of these animations, let's make sure to enable root motion. I'm going to bulk add to be a property matrix, and here under root motion, I'm going to select enable root motion to be true. File, save all. Okay. Okay, and now let's test it out and see what happens. Okay, so it seems like we're having that same issue. Let's just set the blend in time to 0. Okay, so he just jumps back up. So what we need to do is we need to add about here, let's add a loop so he stays this way. So let's add a new montage section. Just call it loop. Okay, and let's go to montage section, and loop is going to go back and loop to the loop section. And there we go. And if you see him sort of moving around like that, that means probably we need to move this way a little bit. So move that like right here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's do the same thing to the other animations. Now let's try it out and see how it looks. Okay, he's still going backwards and sliding. Let's go into Gruntling enemy and let's set on death, let's set movement mode. Set movement mode to none. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, one thing that I noticed that we also need to do is to move the health bar widget down. So that's way too high. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, he can still react to hits even though he's dead. So let's go to the combat system, blueprints, AI, enums. Let's go to AI behavior. And let's add a new behavior and let's add death. Now to open up the Gruntling enemy. And let's add a new condition here. And let's add a new condition here for enter combat. Add decorator, blackboard, self, and we need to get the AI behavior is not equal to death. And we'll add that for both of them. Is not equal to death. Okay. Now let's go to our behavior tree service. Here in the update behavior, right here, let's set our new behavior to, let's recompile, and then we can set it to death. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Okay, still same issue. Okay, so in order to narrow down the issue, and for attacking, let's add a decorator, a blackboard decorator. Let's have observer reports on self, so it will abort all of this if this condition fails, and the condition that we need to fail is AI behavior is not equal to death. So if the AI behavior is not equal to death, then we can continue, but if it is equal to death, then we will abort all of this. It's probably far more reliable to use a boolean for death instead, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to our blackboard. Bool B is dead. Let's copy the name. Let's go to our master AI and let's set div. And let's create a variable. B is dead. And let's get AI controller. Controlled actor is going to be self. And let's get blackboard. And let's set value as bool. And the key name, let's make literal name. This will be B is dead. So let's check. Let's get B is dead. We'll just call it some B condition. And we'll say not equal. So if the new condition is not equal to dead, then we can continue. We will set dead to the condition. And then set this value to whatever we set here. We can also make that private. Create a getter function is dead. We'll return a boolean. Let's get is dead, and let's make this a pure function. Compile and save. Here, whenever the AI is performing death, let's set dead. Okay. And now let's go to the update behavior and let's add a variable. Actually, what we can do is let's just get the controlled master AI and check is dead. Let's get a not Boolean. So if the character is not dead, we can continue. Otherwise, we're going to set the behavior to death. Also here in the master AI, we can do a check. So let's get a condition here. And we need to check, is dead not Boolean? Okay, let's try again. Okay, that has fixed the issue. Okay, and now let's also add that condition to can receive hit reaction and Boolean. Okay. Okay. And that has resolved the issue. As you may have noticed, whenever we kill the enemy, we cannot walk through the enemy. So let's go ahead and fix that. Here on the death, perform death, let's get the capsule component. Let's set collision response to channel. And the channel will be pawn, and the response will be overlap. Okay, let's try that out. Walk, and yes, we can continue walking. Okay, I think this is a good stopping point for this video. This video has gone on quite long, so we will continue working on our Gruntling mob in the next video.